Hey, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Just so our viewers know, if there's a little bit of an internet problem, of course, we've survived the eclipse and now we have these huge storms coming in. So this is going to be entertaining. It's always never a dull moment around here.
It's true. Very true.
So we were having a great conversation and we decided we need to hit play.
Yeah. Yep.
So let me ask you, when you're hanging out with your girlfriends, well, probably not a good question for you because you're the money guru. But how often do you sit around with your girlfriends and talk about investments, long term? I mean, does money come up much or does it with you because of what you do?
So it does come up with me because of what I do, but I can say before I started in the financial industry, it never came up at all. Anything that did come up was more so related to saving money on something. Like there's a sale at XYZ, or look at this great dress I'm wearing. I bought it at a thrift store for this much dollars. Like there wasn't any deeper conversations around investing or budgeting or savings or anything like that. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, about the same. It's like, have you seen this new app where you can save money on these purchases, or talking about like new stores that open up that say it's not really about even day to day or long term. The
Mhm.
conversation is usually about shopping
Yeah.
or
Yeah, it's
places to go
usually consumer
eat.
spending related, right?
Yeah, it's more of that non-discretionary type spending but nothing. So as women, it is very taboo for us to talk about money.
Yep. Yep. We were raised to learn that anything relating to money was this like you don't talk about it, you don't discuss it with your girlfriends, you don't bring it up, you don't ask people questions. And really it was just women that were taught this. Men for, you know, forever have been having financial conversations with their, dads or their friends or coworkers or whatever else. But women were told like no, it's rude. It's taboo, whatever else to have those. And I think that's what's really held us back from being able to be more confident in making financial
Mhm.
decisions, making long term investment decisions, because we just didn't have those conversations and we're relying on other places to learn about it.
Yeah. I think I'm in 100% agreement because I'm sitting here going, anytime I'd have a question, it'd be like I'd go to my husband, ask your dad, what does your dad think? I don't ever recall saying, so what does the woman think? What is this it's always been the male role model of family or in the group or something like that. So this is very interesting. It's not something that I've really thought about much.
Yeah. And I've been coming across it a lot. What I have found as I'm meeting with clients, especially married couples, is that the women tend to be the ones running the day to day in the household. So they tend to be the ones that are paying the bills or making shopping decisions or um, being able to put away savings for emergencies and things of that nature. And they
Vacations,
feel
stuff like
more
that, fun
confident.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they feel more confident doing that. Whereas when we start talking about long-term savings, retirement, long-term care, things of that nature, it is usually the husband or the man in the relationship that is more confident, more knowledgeable, and is kind of running the show for that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
We're having
kind of
hiccups over
crazy.
here on the internet side. So let's just see how this goes. We're just going to keep going with it because this is an important topic. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
for
know
sure.
I know that anytime, like, if I've gone out to make a financial decision, it's like, do you need to talk to your husband first? And I'm kind of like, why?
Right?
Yeah. So we want to change this. I mean, as women, we need to support each other and learn more about the long term side. We're much more than just the day to day shopping. I mean, statistics still say we live the longest, right? I mean,
Yep, we
and our
do.
retirement is going to impact us more so than men. So, I mean, it only makes sense at this point. Not that men don't need to be focused on retirement. Please don't get me wrong, but we need
Right.
to be as involved as they are, and we need to make this not a taboo topic. This is important.
Yes. There's a stat that I really love that says 83% of men die married and 83% of women die single.
Mm,
And so that shows you how important it is that the retirement and investment decisions women are that they're involved with that,
mhm,
because they're the ones that are going to be left with the money
mhm,
after, the husband passes away. And if they invested right, or if they saved right, or whatever else, that will determine how long they have to live off of that money
mhm,
that was left behind, and whatever other things come into play. So it's fascinating to me that, and women are starting to realize that. They're starting to understand that they're going to outlive their partners statistically,
mhm,
and they want to learn more about it, but they just don't know kind of where to get started. And another crazy stat that's going to be happening soon is that women are actually going to be in control of 2/3 of the nation's wealth by 2030.
mm. Rock
So,
on.
like, we will have the money under our control, but then the question is, do we have the knowledge or the confidence to handle it well?
Yeah. I would say the answer to that question is no, but we can change that. We
Yeah,
can change that.
we can.
So it's just the first step is being aware.
Mhm.
So, and it makes me think, I've had clients reach out to me and say, mom needs help because dad passed. They don't even know how to get in the safe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of stuff. So, one of the things that I did during the holidays, and we talked about it, it came
Mhm.
from here, was having an emergency binder. So, that
Mhm.
is not only do we need it for our day to day stuff, so very important in case,
Yep.
you know, car accident, you get ill, things still have to keep going. But we could take that a step further and sit the husband down and say, okay, what do 401k investments look like? Who's our financial advisor or our financial professional? I want to be a part of the next meeting,
Mm.
to get the conversation. I'm updating this. Here's if something were to happen to me, here's what I do. Now tell me what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super important for couples to be getting together on a regular basis to talk about not only the day to day, but the future financial goals and the retirement savings and all of the other stuff. And that's why I harp a lot about money dates and making sure that couples are having those at least once a month and they're on the same page about where all of their stuff is, how is it performing, who do they contact if they have questions. And you mentioned being involved in the financial discussions with a financial professional.
Mhm,
um, we want to make sure that whoever you're working with includes you in the conversations and is actually teaching you about the things they're doing with your money. I don't know how many times I've heard a woman tell me her and her husband go into a male financial advisor's office,
mhm,
and the guy's just talking to the husband. He hasn't talked to the wife at all, and they're just having a conversation and choosing where to invest the money and what to do with it and all of this stuff, and the woman feels left out. And
mhm,
it happens all the time, and it's super unfortunate, and that's why women should be involved in choosing who the financial professional is, and they should make sure that financial professional is speaking to both of them and educating them both so
Mhm.
that they're on the same page and they know what's going on with their money.
So let's say we sat down and we're in front of a male financial professional and the woman is getting ignored. I mean, I know how I would handle it, but
Mhm.
my approach is probably a little bit more stern than most. It'd be like, hey, I'm sitting here too. I can pull my piece of the money and go to someone that'll speak to me. But what's a kinder, more gentler way of saying, hello, I'm here too?
So it's good to ask questions. After the conversation part of it, if you have questions about where your money is invested, can you tell me more about that mutual fund or that ETF? What has the performance been for that in the past however long? Why
Mhm,
was this a better option than something else? Like, you can ask a lot of probing questions
mhm,
that will ensure that they're teaching you more about their decision making and the things that they're putting your money into so
mhm,
that you can understand. But then you also want to make sure you let them know, I'm also part of this household. I would love to be considered in any kind of decision making moving forward. Obviously, have a conversation with your husband as well. Make sure that they are advocating for you in those situations. And yes, you can advocate for yourself, but you need to come as a
united front.
mutual. Yeah, exactly. You need to come together, united and ready to learn and make decisions and all of that stuff. So it's good to make sure that you're meeting on a regular basis and preparing with questions and things that you'd like to know when you sit down with a professional.
Yeah, that's some great tips. And I wonder also, just from the certified public accounting side of me,
Mhm.
there's checks and balances that should always be established as well. Is there a certain dollar amount that someone can pull or, sell a retirement account or, do something with that requires both parties to sign off on? Because you
Mhm.
hear those horror stories of, well, we had the investments, but
Yeah.
they're not there now, you
And
know.
it really depends on how the account is structured.
Mhm,
So, for instance, IRAs, like traditional and Roth IRAs, can only be single owner. So only the husband can have his, the wife can have theirs. It goes by social security number. So you can't jointly own
okay.
IRAs. But there are plenty of other accounts where they can be jointly owned. And based on how they're set up, sometimes it's just one or the other can access the money and take it out and put it back in. And sometimes they require both parties to say, yes, I have to sign off on this, this is whatever. So that's also a great question for women to ask
Mhm,
is, if they're setting up new accounts or if they already have accounts set up, understanding who has permission to do what and do they need a spousal signature or not,
mhm.
because that is something that's going to be really important, particularly if unfortunately divorce comes into the picture, wanting to make sure that you're keeping your accounts safe and that one spouse isn't just draining accounts to, you know, make things more difficult or whatever else. So those are really good questions to ask a professional.
Yeah, and two other things popped in my mind while you were talking. One is doing a beneficiary review. That's a
Mhm.
very good conversation starter. What all do we have out there and who are the beneficiaries? Need to put that in my binder.
Yep.
And then the other thing is opening mail and understanding where that
Mhm.
mail is coming from. Because I know there's times that I'll open something and I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And I kind of set it aside and it gets buried underneath. And it is something that we need, do I need a login for this? What is this? Help me understand so we can stick it in that binder. Always use that binder. That binder is a good, deflector, if you will.
Yeah.
So you're not arguing. It's like, so we're both informed, everything's in one place.
Yeah, and that brings up a really good point about the beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that women should be asking financial professionals is, if something happens to my spouse
Mm-hmm.
and that money comes to me, what do I need to know? Are there tax ramifications? Are there, like, is that money mine forever? Or does it have to be, paid out over a certain amount of time? Like, those are questions that are
Very
also
good
important,
questions. Yeah.
simply because chances are the wife will inherit whatever their husband leaves behind, and they need to understand how that money is going to come to them,
Mm-hmm.
what they might have to do in taxes. Something that happens to women a lot that's really unfortunate is when they become widows, they move into a different tax bracket because now they have to file as single rather than as married, and they end up having to pay more taxes in widowhood simply because they're by themselves now. They've got this money that was left behind to them
Mm-hmm.
and these assets, and so that's something that they need to be prepared for
Mm-hmm.
and made aware of, so that they know, and it doesn't become a big surprise when it comes time to file taxes, that now you owe a ton of money simply because you're now in a different tax bracket.
Yes. Ask questions, understand. Um, Required minimum distribution is something to really make sure that you understand and that you have a tax professional that can help you understand and navigate that. Understanding when these retired minimum distributions kick in, at what age for each person, and it's usually on the person that, like for an IRA, it's going to be my age if it's mine, or my husband's age if it's his. So there's a lot to navigate, not just setting up retirements or planning long term, but then understanding what happens once you get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing that I know a lot of people have questions about is Social Security.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And that is something that is really important to understand because, you get some of your husband's benefit after they pass, and you can also get ex husband's Social Security depending on how long you were married after they pass as well. So that's also something that needs to be um, more understood, because right now, um, about, I want to say 42% of older women rely on Social Security for more than half of their income.
Mm,
And so it's important to understand that, you know, if your ex is alive and you were married for more than 10 years, you're entitled to up to 50% of his Social Security benefit. And then you could claim 100% after he passes. So we like to joke about not stalking your ex and whatever else, because you could get some additional benefit from them depending on all the circumstances. So understanding those little things about Social Security, and whether it's, a current spouse that passes away or an ex-spouse,
mhm.
like, that's going to help prepare women more for knowing what they need in retirement, but also what they're going to get.
Wow. A little overwhelming, but the good news is I think it's conversations that we need to have. And I think that's what we're trying to say here. And before we got on, you mentioned that you have a group that you get together with, that you guys actually talk about this. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So when I started in the financial industry, the first thing I noticed was that women were feeling very uncomfortable talking about money, whether it was with me, whether it was in a casual setting, a professional setting. And so I was encouraged by an author, Jean Chatsky, who writes about women. She's got a podcast, she's got all sorts of stuff with women and money. And she was talking about these kind of happy hours she would put on where women could come together and talk about money and get more comfortable about it. So I started doing that in my area, and I would host women in various places. I would bring wine and snacks, and then I would ask them some questions to kind of get the conversation started. And before you know it, everyone's sharing, previous financial situations and future goals and tips and tricks and whatever else. And I was really seeing some positive conversations happening, and them feeling a little bit more confident as they walked out of the door, because it's important for us to feel more empowered and learn from each other on how to negotiate salaries, how to ask for a raise, how to increase your prices if you're a business owner, doing the things that you need to do to better yourself financially and have the tools and things needed. Because again, men have been doing this forever. There are all these men's only clubs where they get together with their brandy and their cigars, and they're talking about money. They're talking about investments, about stocks. They're talking about, all this other stuff. So they've been doing this forever, and it's time for women to start coming together and having those conversations as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I guess if I were going to give everyone a call to action, it would be find something in your area that does that. And if not, like for me, now I'm going to go look to see if there's anything in my area. And if not, I'm going to start something going. So I love this idea. And yes, guys, come on. We are no longer just in the household. I mean, we are a big part of society, and we need to understand the money side as much as the men do. So yeah.
And make these money conversations fun. Create a dinner club or a book club, but you're reading financial books, or there's so many ways. Yeah, there's so many ways to come together and do something fun and pair it with amazing food or drinks or whatever. But then make sure that the main topic is finances and whatever specific things you want to learn or talk about, and do that. And I think that that's a really good way to get started. And then also make sure, if you have a financial professional already, that you and your spouse are going to them, asking questions, understanding together what's going on with your money. If you don't have one, make sure to go out and find one for yourselves and ask questions. Make sure that both of you are involved in the decision-making process, and that the financial professional will talk to both of you, ask questions, and educate you around all of the different topics.
Right. And even if you're in debt and don't feel like you have any money for retirement, that's where I help you, because we all should be saving for retirement, and we can figure out how anything's better than nothing at this point.
Right.
So we're here to help. And so whatever you guys need, but I love this topic, and giving women another excuse to get together and just chat.
Yeah. I love it.
Me too. Me too. Well, this was great. A little longer, but important. And love to hear what everybody finds. I mean, if you find groups in your area, share, because we're reaching out to a lot of people. Maybe somebody close to you will be like, "Oh, I live by there. I'll go," or stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, we made it through the storms here and there, but thank you.
And we weren't raptured, so we're still here. You still have to save for retirement.
You do.
You're not off the hook.
No, you still got to pay your bills. Sorry. It's time to sit down and do it. And taxes are due next Monday. So
yeah.
Yay.
So if you haven't started working on that, you should look into extensions and also getting that taken care of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess until next week.
Yes, sounds good.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.